So, ladies and gentlemen, what's in a name? Well, in Canada, if you say the name Tip O'Neill, most of us don't think of the politician. We believe that guy was a copycat. Maybe he only took that name because of this guy. Probably one of the greatest athletes in Canadian history when he was in Major League Baseball, the left fielder from Springfield, Canada West. He wasn't even Canadian when he was born. He was in Canada West before Confederation. It's got to be that great sensation, Tip O'Neill. Now, James Edward Tip O'Neill, born May 15, 1860, was a Canadian pro baseball player from 1875 to 1892. He began playing organized baseball in Woodstock, Ontario, and later played 10 seasons in Major League Baseball, principally as a left fielder, but also a pitcher for 4 Major League clubs. While playing with the St. Louis Browns, later renamed the St. Louis Cardinals from 84 to 89, he helped the club compile a 516 and 247 record, while also winning 4 pennants in the 1886 World Series. O'Neill won 2 American Association batting titles during those years and became the second person in Major League history to hit for a Triple Crown, leading the league in 1887 with a .435 average, 14 homers and 120 runs batted in. 23 runs were batted in. He also rewrote the Major League record book, establishing new marks in at least 8 categories, including the highest batting average, original .492 adjusted to .435, on-base percentage .490, slugging percentage .691, and most hits .225, runs scored .167, doubles .52, extra base hits .84, and total bases .357 in a single season. His adjusted .435 batting average in 1887 remains the second highest in Major League history. I think it was higher to counting, walks as hits. O'Neill, who was dubbed Canada's Babe Ruth, was posthumously inducted into both the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and the Ontario Sports Hall of Fame. Each year since 1984, the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame has presented the Tip O'Neill Award to the best Canadian player. Now inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1986. Now born in Springfield, Ontario, which was again at the time a village in southwestern Ontario that was later incorporated in the city of Malahide. While O'Neill was a boy, his family moved approximately 30 miles to Woodstock, where his parents operated a hotel. Now, in 1875, in the minor leagues, he started playing organized baseball in Woodstock and became known as, get this nickname, the Woodstock Wonder. He also traveled with barnstorming teams. In 81, he reportedly played in Detroit, and in 82, he played for the New York Metropolitans in the League Alliance. Now, he made his Major League debut on May 5th, 83 as a pitcher for the New York Gothams, later renamed the Giants of the National League. A very handsome man. He was getting heavy coverage in the press, including Sporting Life, which wrote, O'Neill, the New York change pitcher, seems to have but one element of effectiveness in his delivery, vis-a-vis fast and slow. This is a very weak reliance nowadays, as batsmen have only to note the speed of the ball and wait for a good one. O'Neill's delivery is wild and erratic, hard work for the catcher and busy work for the field. However, he did appear in 18 games in his rookie campaign for the Gothams with a .512 record and 4.07 ERA. In 1884, he joined Charlie Comiskey's St. Louis Browns, later renamed the Cardinals, of the AA. He was signed by Comiskey to replace pitcher Tony Mullany, who left the Browns after the 83 campaign. He compiled an 11-4 record that year with a .268 ERA and led the league with a .733 winning percentage as a pitcher. However, his arm reportedly went back on him during the 84 season, requiring him to switch from pitching to playing outfield. He ended up taking part in 64 games as an outfielder in 84, and was exclusively an outfielder thereafter. Now in 85, he missed much of the season, suffering an injury on June 10th and not returning to the lineup until September 3rd. Despite the injury, he established himself as the Browns' best batter, hitting .350 in 52 contests, nearly 80 points higher than any other player on the team. The 85 Browns won the AAA pennant with a 79-33 record and tied the White Stockings in the 85 World Series. He scored 4 runs in the set but hit .208. Now in 86, he played his first full season as a position player and became one of the most valuable athletes in the league. He appeared in 138 games, all as an outfielder, and led the league with 107 runs batted in. He was also among the league leaders with a .328 batting average, a .385 on-base percentage, a .440 slugging percentage, 190 hits, 255 total bases, 45 extra base hits, and a 4.9 wins above replacement rating, which left him second or third in most categories. Now, O'Neill's hitting helped lead the Browns to the AA pennant with a 93-46 record. The team also went on to defeat the Chicago White Stockings of the NL in the 1886 World Series. He had 400 with a 500 on-base percentage in the set, 5 runs scored, 5 RBIs, 2 home runs, and 2 stolen bases. Sounds like Ohtani in Canadian form. In 87, he rewrote the Major League batting record in just 124 games. That year, he won the AA Triple Crown, batting .435 with 14 homers and 123 RBIs. His batting average was originally recorded at .492, as bases on balls had been counted as hits during that season. At the time of his death, his unadjusted .492 average in 1915 was recorded as the highest in Major League history. Subsequently, batting averages for the 87 season were adjusted by removing bases on balls from the calculations. Again, it came up to a .435. It was a Major League record until 1894 when Hugh Duffy established the current Major League record by hitting .440. O'Neill's adjusted average from 87 remains the second highest single-season batting average in Major League history. Now, of course, a lot of single-season records he established that year. Now, he's hitting in 87, helped lead the Browns to their third consecutive AA title, but the Browns lost to the World Series of Detroit Wolverines, as O'Neill hit only 265 at-bats against Detroit's pitching in the World Series. But he had won the pennant with a 94-40 record. Now, in 1888, he won his second consecutive AA batting title by hitting .335. He will also rank among league leaders in multiple hitting categories for the third consecutive year, with a .390 on-base percentage, .446 slugging, 177 hits, 236 total bases, 98 RBIs, and 225 times on base. Now, with O'Neill again leading the club in hitting, the Browns won their fourth consecutive pennant in 1888 with a 92-43 record. The Browns then lost the 88 World Series to the New York Giants, though O'Neill combined a .349 on-base percentage with 8 runs, 11 RBIs, and 2 homers in his final World Series. Now, he had his fifth consecutive strong season to batter in 1889, appearing in 134 games in the outfield with a .335 average, the second best in the AA. He then ranked among the league leaders in multiple batting categories, and he had 9 home runs that year. Now, the Browns compiled a 90-45 record in 89, but finished in second place, 2 games behind the great Brooklyn Bridegrooms. Now, in O'Neill's first 6 seasons with the Browns of 84-89, he appeared in 656 games with 585 runs scored, a WAR rating of 22.5, hit .347 with .407 on-base percentage. He had a .498 slugging percentage, 925 hits, and 538 RBIs. During those 6 seasons, he was the Browns' dominant hitter and helped the club win 4 pennants, going .516, .247. Now, O'Neill followed Charlie Comiskey to the Players League in 1890, appearing in 137 games for the Chicago Pirates. He hit .302 in the Players League with a .377 on-base percentage. He was 174 hits with 244 times on base. Now, O'Neill then followed Comiskey back to the Browns in 1991, 127 games in the outfield, third in the league with a .323 batting average, 166 hits, 95 RBIs and 10 home runs, and 42 extra base hits. Now, 1892, Comiskey jumped to the Reds of the National League, and O'Neill again followed Comiskey. In 9 of 10 years of Neill's career, he played on teams managed by Comiskey. O'Neill appeared in 109 games as an outfielder for the Reds in 1892. At the start of big spring training, Ban Johnson, then the Cincinnati correspondent to the Sporting News, expressed hope that O'Neill would help the Reds to a pennant. Tip O'Neill is a big, hardy, and strong, and gives promise of doing great things for the club. However, his batting average dropped 72 points from the prior season to .251, his lowest season since his rookie year as a pitcher in 1883. He began the season slow, but in mid-May, he expressed confidence that O'Neill would come back to his old form in a while. The following month, the New York Sun reported that O'Neill was one of the most frequent recipients of Comiskey's natural mid-game lecture without any curtain. By mid-July, the Sporting News reported, Tip O'Neill has lately been playing so poorly that Cincinnati cranks have soured on him. He appeared his last Major League game on August 30, 1892 at the young age of 34. In December 1892, Comiskey told the Sporting News that O'Neill had left the club without permission and had not been heard from since. However, he added, if he can play ball for me as well as he did at St. Louis, should like to have him. Last year, Tip was in poor health, and that is the reason I signed for his weak stick work. Now, over 10 Major League seasons, O'Neill appeared in 1,052 games, 1,022 as an outfielder, 4,712 plate appearances, 326 batting average, 392 on-base percentage, 458 slugging, total of 879 runs scored, 1,385 hits, 222 doubles, 92 triples, 52 home runs, 757 RBIs, 161 stolen bases, 420 bases on balls, and 1,947 total bases. He is only one of 15 players in baseball history to win the Triple Crown. Of the 14 Triple Crown winners who are eligible for Baseball Hall of Fame, and Miguel Cabrera is not yet eligible, O'Neill and Paul Hines are the only two who have not been inducted. At the end of 2013 season, O'Neill's 326 batting average was the 36th highest in Major League Baseball. Now, the idea of the 35 players with higher career batting averages than O'Neill, only 5 eligible players have not been inducted in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, sorry about that. There's some confusion. I thought he made it to the Baseball Hall of Fame, but according to my numbers, it's the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. So maybe that's my error, by the way. I'm confusing my league with your league. Now, shortly after he retired from baseball, the Sporting Life reported in July 1893 that he was making book at Sheepshead Bay, horse racing track in New York City. He also worked as a big league umpire and as a scout for various baseball clubs, including the Chicago White Sox. Eventually, he moved to Montreal, where he lived with his brother to assist in acquiring a minor league baseball club for the city. However, on New Year's Eve, 1915, he died suddenly at age 55 while riding in a Montreal streetcar. The cause of death was an attack of heart disease. He was buried at St. Mary's Cemetery in Woodstock, Ontario. In the mid-1980s, he was posthumously inducted as one of the first inductees in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, which each year now presents the Tip O'Neill Award in his honor to a player judge who has excelled in individual achievement and team contribution while adhering to baseball's highest ideals. Now, a municipal baseball field in Woodstock is named Tip O'Neill Field in his honor. And of course, he was inducted in the Ontario Sports Hall of Fame in 1997. Now, during the late 19th century and early 20th century, there were several other athletes who went by Tip O'Neill. In 1898, O'Neill wrote to Sporting Life to correct a report that was managing a baseball team in Montgomery, Alabama. He noted it seemed strange that every ball player whose name happens to be O'Neill should call himself Tip. One Tip died in London a few years ago, and when I would meet friends they had not met for some time, they would take me as a ghost. Chicago Record last spring had me dying of consumption. Now, the confusion of Tip O'Neill's continues as some sources erroneously stated that O'Neill served as the president of the Western League, a minor league based in the Midwestern U.S. To the contrary, the individual who served as president of the Western League was Norris Tip O'Neill. Years later, the future American politician and Speaker of the House, Thomas Tip O'Neill, who passed away in 1994, was given the nickname Tip as a boy due to his shared surname with the 19th century baseball player. I don't think he mentioned once he was named after probably the greatest Canadian baseball player of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. I thought he was in the Hall of Fame. Again, my error there. So Tip O'Neill, the numbers are there. Again, just to recap. New York Gotham's 1883, Browns 84-89, Chicago Pirates 1990, St. Louis Browns 91, Cincinnati Reds 92, AA Triple Crown in 87, AA batting champion in 88, and WAA RBI leader in 86. So he won the RBI title in 86 and 87, won the batting championships in 87, 88, and of course a good home run hitter, where home runs were very rare and long between. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find out more about him, the members of the Baseball Hall of Fame, but at one point he was a single season's doubles record holder, the American Association home run champion, and hitting for the cycle twice again in 1887. Now, the idea, ladies and gentlemen, of Tip O'Neill, basically the importance of achievement in baseball cannot be dismissed. But the errors are there. This is only a 10-year career, okay? And first season as a pitcher. The batting average, 197, 276, 350, 328, 435, 335, 335, 302, 322, 23, and 251. Now, he stole at least 25 bases in 5 consecutive seasons, hit over 100 RBIs 3 times, hit over 10 home runs twice. The best year, of course, is 1887. That even can't even be 85 extra base hits, and he scored 167 runs. That could be the greatest season ever in Double-A association history. So Ryan Thompson, who never made a request for this, he's a big follower of our what I call our vintage podcast. This is for you, Ryan. You probably know all about Tip O'Neill more than I do, probably. But the idea, those years in St. Louis, the Canadian Babe Ruth for sure, because he would have played a few more years. Maybe it's time for the Canadian media to put this guy in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I don't know why he's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame, because he's a link, and he's the World Series appearances is just tremendous. This was literally a true World Series, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the idea about this, I think he's more regarded in Canada than is in the States. But let's look at the postseason batting one more time for those 4 consecutive World Series championship where he won 1 and lost 3. He had 146 at bats, 23 runs scored, 35 hits, 3 doubles, 3 triples, 5 home runs, batted .240, and of course 1886, 8 for 20. But the situation, he did pitch parts of 2 years, but again his arm gave out. He was 16-16 in those campaigns. So Tip O'Neill, again, one of the greatest Canadian baseball athletes of all time. If you want to learn more about him, there's been documentaries and YouTubes about him. Please remember that when you went to watch Canadians play for Cleveland, Vladimir Guerrero, born in Montreal, half Canadian, of course, he has Canadian citizenship. Freddie Freeman with the Dodgers. There's been Ferguson Jenkins passed a number of years. It's tremendous, the Canadian legacy of the 1800s dealing into the 20th century is tremendous. So Tip O'Neill, I tip my cap to your brother, and dying in a streetcar in Montreal sounds like a good country song, and there's no better place to live than probably die in Montreal, because everybody looks out for each other in a big city. Have a good one. Thanks.